Mr. Lowe from Apex, and we have negotiated with Apex, and they will have actually a team that will be dedicated to U.S. investors. And you'll see the contact here in the book. There's 2 contact names. They will be working for just attracting U.S. FDI. Thank you, Mr. Lowe.
Thank you, Mr. Berry. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Hello, Mr. the Minister. I am here to represent my CEO, who couldn't be here today, and is apologizing for that. I'm the Senior Project Manager for APEX, which is the national agency in charge of investment promotion and major infrastructure. So, as we were saying earlier, Senegal is seen today as a gateway towards an emerging Africa. And on the next slide, I will explain why we think of Senegal as a gateway to Africa. First, yesterday we were talking to a student from the Indiana University in Pennsylvania, and he said something to us. He said that one of the main assets for our country is our strategic geographical location. So as you can see it, and as Minister Cissé has said earlier, we are 8 hours from Washington. We are 2,722 miles from Paris, and 3,000 miles from Sao Paulo, 4,000 miles from Johannesburg. We are really well centered in our position in the world, which is one of our main assets. As mentioned as well, we are members of 2 economic unions, the West African Economic and Monetary Unions and Economic Cooperation of West African States. That is a market of approximately 300 million consumers, and we are under the same business OILO as 17 of those countries member of those unions. We can say that Senegal has a dynamic economy. In 2012, our growth rate was approximately 2.5%. And even if you look back to 2008 and 2009, when there was a world crisis, we had growth rate approximately up to 4%, 4.5%. So that is a resilient economy. We have one of the lowest inflation rate in Africa. We have the 2nd GDP under WAMU in 2012 and the 4th growth rate. So we are as well very competitive with the country in Africa. We can say that we have a good education level, and I'm speaking in front of the budget minister, who can tell that an important part, maybe I would say 40%, maybe or more, are dedicated to education and health. There is a large number of prestigious public and private schools. The university share job today receive all students all around the countries in Africa. There's a large number of high-skilled workers, managers, and experts, and training is a key priority for our country and that state. We can say that access and mobility won't be an issue for the investor when he comes, because we are finishing the International Baseline Airport, which is located 47 kilometers from Dakar. Mr. Hutt here is the chairman of the board of directors. He can give you more information about that project later on. There's 5 other international airports. We have a modern port that is one of the largest in West Africa and that have been expanded. We have new and upgraded road infrastructure. In August, we launched our new toll highway going from Dakar to Diamniadio, and we are expanding it to the new international airport. And we have a reliable and modern telecommunication network, more than 3,000 kilometers of optic fiber. And that's very funny because last week we were in Paris with my colleague here, Mrs. Khadija from the Minister of Finance, and she was not getting Wi-Fi. And she's like, we're in Paris, how can we not get Wi-Fi? In Dakar, I have Wi-Fi all the time. I'm like, well, see, so now today Paris is compared to Dakar. We are also based on the key principles for investors when we come. There are no discrimination between national and foreigners. There is no limitation in employing expatriates, so any investors could come with his team to our country, they're all welcome. there are many fiscal and non-fiscal benefits. We guarantee transfer of capital and earnings and provision of foreign and exchange. During the last decade, APEX has been a booster for reforms in our country. We are working to implement all the major reforms. Some of them, some key priorities reforms, are, let's say, dematerialization of all the administrative procedures. I mean, as of today, in 24 hours, anybody can create a new company, and we want to do it online. As well as a structural framework, as an investor who comes, we want that all the fiscal reforms and land reforms come easier for him. So we are making it easier for all the investors in those parts. So an economist, the French economist, said, Mathieu Baudin, in his last book on sustainable development, that the future has to be prepared instead of being forecasted. Because as a developing country, I think we want to get somewhere, we want to be somewhere, and we have a vision of what we want to be in like 10 years, but sometimes there is a lack of preparation, and this time everything is prepared with the new Senegal Rising Plan that is being forecasted and based on the vision of our President, Mr. Macky Sall, where his vision is a dynamic of strong and inclusive growth, job creation while preserving environment and resources. There are some midterm goals and long-term goals by 2017 and 2035. And all that, as was mentioned earlier, one of the good assets is the political stability, as you were mentioned by our minister. Since we have our independence in 1960, we had 4 different leaders that were well elected peacefully and on a very stable and democratic way. So that is one of the strongest assets in Senegal, which will permit us to go into the emergence of our 14 different regions. To reach goals such as average annual growth rate of 7% by 2017, job creation to 300,000, and we want to implement approximately 1,095 megawatt. And by 2035, we want an inclusive development for each region, based upon, of course, the reinforcement of roads, airports, and railway infrastructure, energy production growth, and of course, territorial water distribution proficiency. Funding strategy. As a state, the state is a little bit limited on resources, but we put together some strategy, as Mr. Hutt explained earlier. Francis is one of the innovative financing strategy as to finance this infrastructure. We also want to invite the private sector to help us implement all those projects as in PPP. We are going towards a new PPP law, as the minister has mentioned, so I'm glad to know that the law went to Congress. The new bill was to be voted in February 2014. There are a new PPP council to ensure more transparency. We integrated a new possible way to directly partner based on unsolicited bid. Of course, they are all subjected to certain terms and conditions, and all of that is to ease the way to implement those projects by saving time on the tender process duration. So now, I will show briefly some opportunities, because with the book that has been given to every one of you, you have a list of projects and some description. As we said, in agribusiness, quickly, our assets, we have more than 4 million hectares of cultivable land, 35 billion of cubic meter of renewable fresh water, 240,000 hectares of cultivable land, and an important hydrological resources. In tourism, as said, we have 7 kilometers of waterfront, strategic geographic location, nice weather, it's like hot all the time, 500 kilometers of sandy beach, and as you said, we are 8 hours from you guys. Instead of going to the Caribbean or to Los Angeles, if you come to Senegal, you can experience that. We have nice sandy beaches and nice potential that can be invested, and EBITDA has nothing on us, trust me. So, For the PPP project, briefly, the priority sectors for the President of the Republic is in infrastructure and transport, planning and social housing, education and health, agriculture, fisheries, environment, tourism, and of course energy. Some quick projects are here, like in rail infrastructure, we want to construct and rehabilitate more than 5,000 kilometers of railways. The port, we want to have a dry exterior port in Kaolack, a deep water port as well, an ore port in Barney, a port in Saint Louis. Airport infrastructure, we want to rehabilitate the Saint Louis Airport, Ziguinchor Airport, Cap Spring Airport, and there are some airfields as well to be rehabilitated or constructed. As in the road infrastructure, there's a highway going from Damnajo, Chess to Tuba, that's approximately 300 kilometers. We have 247 kilometers from Kaolack to Tambacounda. There are some roads to be built, or to be rehabilitated. We have lots of projects that has to be done in those sectors. Even in industries, there is an integrated special economic zone that is going to be next to the new international airport. We have a major social housing program and a business city as a numerical city that we want to implement in Dakar. As in education and health as well, we want to build a second university. Some social infrastructure like campus universities, residencies. There is one of the biggest hospitals, Aristide Le Dantec, that has to be rehabilitated. We have a cancer center that we want to build, and we want to launch a program for vaccination against yellow fever. In agriculture as well, there is a community agricultural areas, agriculture diversification, boating development program, and integrated agriculture. All of the details on those projects are on the book that have been given to you earlier. In energy as well, we have projects in hydro projects, transmission line, biofuels, extension of some of our existing power plants, and an ethanol production from sugar cane in Nusira. So I'm going to just present quickly one of the projects, which is a Dakar Integrated Special Economic Zone that is in a state of progress, in an advanced state of progress as of today. As I said, it's located next to the new international airport. It will be a site of 18 hectares, but for now we are launching a 50-hectare priority phase. The site is for activities, industries. We want to have service lines as well. There's going to be a cargo village next for the airport, and offices spaces for logistic platform, and all of them are under tax and custom. They are tax and custom free to attract investment so that they can come and have the company there to be developed. As a state of progress today, all the feasibility studies are done. Some technical studies as well are finished, and all of it left to be done is implement. Another priority project for the president is the Dakar tramway. This one, the status is not very advanced. The feasibility studies has to be finalized and done as well. It consists on building 35-kilometer system of a tramway in the city of Dakar. Installation of equipment and rolling material has to be done, and maintenance center and also command and supervision position. It's a $750 million project, as in public and private partnership as well. We might have 5 lines, we are talking about 3 lines as well, but the objective is 5 lines to be able to cover the whole city. I like to finish by saying that opportunities in Senegal are not promises but realities in which the private investor can place their bid. Today, as was mentioned, there is more than $2.5 billion of worth of project that we want to realize, and we want to do it with the private sector. So you guys are all welcome to Paris and to our country to help us implement this project and to help us have a rising Senegal by 2035. Thank you.